The second body of a group of 5 swimmers who were swept out to sea at Main Beach in Pennington on KwaZulu-Natal's south coast has been recovered. Meanwhile, rescuers and medical personnel have been called out to Thompson's Bay on the north coast this morning. Comes after reports of a swimmer in distress. Let's get more, an update, in fact, a live update, to speak to Samantha Meyrick from IPSS Medical Rescue. Samantha, very good morning, and thank you for joining us at this hour. I dare say good morning, because now we've got these 2 incidences that have come to the fore. Perhaps you can give us the latest with regards to what's happening in Pennington, and then also the news from Thompson's Bay.
So in Pennington, like we said earlier, the second body did wash up last night. So a total of 3 of the 5 swimmers have been either rescued or recovered. SAP Search and Rescue, lifeguards and NSRI will return to Pennington this morning to continue the search for the 2 missing swimmers. And then at around 5:30 a.m. this morning, we were called to Thompson's Bay Beach in Belito for a swimmer in distress. Despite the efforts of lifeguards and NSRI and IPSS Search and Rescue, unfortunately, he has not yet been located. So that remains an active search as well.
In terms of the priorities at this point, I mean, what does it look like? Even if we're looking at what the scene looks like now, can you tell us what's really transpiring as that searches continue?
Fortunately, this morning, the weather in KZN is good. We've got no wind at the moment, which will aid in the search. I don't have the current conditions in Pennington, although I do know, it doesn't sound like it is too bad. I think the swell, they said, was about 4 to 5 foot. Fortunately, here in Thompson's Bay, it is a protected bay, which does make the search a lot easier for rescuers. I have seen some drone footage as well, and it is very clear, so we are hoping for a positive outcome in both cases today.
I mean, Samantha, it's a difficult question to ask, but at what point does a rescue operation turn into a search and recovery operation? And if we look at the factors, what guides those decisions?
Unfortunately, in the case of a swimmer in distress, it doesn't take too long for it to become a rescue to a search. It's just the unfortunate reality of a drowning. Obviously, in the Pennington case, it is now a search and recovery effort. And I do believe now it has been at least 2.5 hours in the search for the missing bay in Thompson. So it is likely going to be a search and recovery as well, as he would have been found by now if he was still afloat.
Yeah. I mean, Samantha, you're obviously dealing with families who are awaiting closure. Can you also tell us about balancing this urgency of obviously finding or recovering their loved ones with the sensitivity of the matter as well? And as we conclude, what advice do you have for people when they are going to be going to beaches to swim and enjoy themselves?
It always is a very emotional experience having to deal with the families. I know it is very difficult for rescuers. They often like to separate themselves from the families to avoid becoming emotional about the search, because in many cases their own safety is at risk as well. So yes, it is always a balancing act between doing the job and, unfortunately dealing with the heartbreak of the families. As always, we always urge swimmers to swim at protected beaches. Make sure the lifeguards are on duty. I mean, both beaches, Pennington and Thompson's Bay, are protected beaches. Unfortunately, lifeguards went on shift at the time. So we always have to urge swimmers. I mean, even being in knee-deep water in the ocean is a risk. I mean, we've had cases where families standing in ankle to knee-deep water have been swept out and drowned. So you always have to be very careful when around the ocean, especially on unprotected beaches.
Yeah, and I mean, it's obviously also taking a toll on rescue workers as well. So, Samantha, I know that those operations continue. Let's leave our conversation there. Perhaps let you continue with the work. We'll continue to monitor it alongside you as more information is made available. Samantha Meyrick from IPSS Medical Rescue just telling us about the 2 incidences in Pennington as well as Thompson's Bay and how far they've come. Also just communicate to the families at this point, as she's now confirmed it's a rescue and recovery operation.